Hello, friends. Have you heard the good news?
My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living.
That's pretty much the end of the good news. As promised, I uh, I went to view God's Not Dead because I promised I would do all of these faith-based movies, and now that I've seen all of them, I will have a bit of a reprieve because we're not going to get another big one until December when Ridley Scott's Exodus, starring Christian Bale as Moses, comes out. I'm going to make this one very brief. Pros. This was not, as I had feared, a Duck Dynasty promo. The cameos were pretty brief, and I guess kind of made sense in context of the movie, which was something I was afraid of. Not being the case. Kevin Sorbo randomly is a better actor than I would have known him from Hercules. Dean Cain's still alive. Who saw that? Who knew that was a thing? The song, which is terrific, "God's Not Dead," is at the end of the movie, so that's cool. Okay, my issue with this movie is that primarily just the cheese-tastic cliche of big bad atheist professor, sweet innocent bystander, unassuming Christian kid who gets attacked in the classroom. The challenge that the teacher puts to the students to write "God's Not Dead" in order to skip the entire first section of the coursework is pretty unrealistic. I mean, I had atheist professors and professors who certainly weren't Christians who never would have done that. But let's give it the Rocky benefit of the doubt. And by that I mean an impossible situation because it's a film. So the kid has to then defend his faith because, quote, "I feel like God will want somebody to stand up for him." I'm not going to weigh in on that. I don't think God. Anyways, so here I'm trying to think of a way to put this for you guys, especially if you haven't seen it, because if you've seen it, you even if you really like the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just a caricature of an atheist, this really angry atheist who is really only an atheist because he's angry at God. That's a stereotype that, while there is truth underlying that, many people are angry at God, and that is why they're not Christians or they were treated bad in church or something. That, while that's true, it, it just, this type of movie could not have worked at all if average atheism was represented. The average atheist just doesn't believe because they don't believe and they don't care. It's not, there's no deeper emotional underpinning. Most of them aren't angry at God. Most of them don't care. They just don't respond to the world the same way that a Christian would, the same way that I do because I have faith. They just don't see things in that light. So Kevin Sorbo's character is a caricature, an amalgamation of different angry atheists that the writers have apparently encountered in their life. And he's really rude. He's really sort of harsh. And of course he's dating a Christian, and of course he's terrible to her. Dean Cain, who's portrayed as very worldly and very self-absorbed, very rude, very angry person. Um, all of the non-Christians in the movies are stereotypes. They're either very self-absorbed and egocentric and work-driven, or they're atheist professors, or they're really liberal. All of the non-believers are caricatures, and that got on my nerves. That kind of bugged me. And likewise, the people of faith are caricatures too. I mean, the one interesting subplot of the movie involves a Muslim girl who wants to become Christian, or who has become Christian behind her strict Muslim father's back. That was somewhat engaging. The dialogue was, I mean, these movies are not made by they're not made by anybody who's going to be winning any Academy Awards. The dialogue's not. I mean, it wasn't dreadful, but I'll say some things that I liked about the movie. I liked the fact that it was balanced. There was a sense of balance. It didn't just say it didn't hit you over the head with the typical apologetics, and then mock science, and then and try to like heavy-handed, haha, theism makes more sense. It didn't do that. Like the scientific arguments were presented, and they were presented well. Philosophical arguments were presented well for both atheism and theism. So the debating portions of the film were done. That was done well. That was okay. Again, this along with Son of God and Fireproof, Courageous, all those movies. My main underlying issue is whether they're good or not, or whether they're interesting or not. To a Christian, it doesn't really matter, because these aren't movies that are reaching lost people. I don't know of anyone who's not a Christian who is going to be a Christian after leaving God's Not Dead, or Fireproof, or Courageous, or any of them. I mean, we're all high-fiving ourselves with these movies. We go to see them. We're Christians. We like Jesus. We go in. We like hearing about faith and family and traditional values, and we go in. We watch the movies and high-five ourselves on the way out. I mean, that's my issue. Having said that, the sense of balance in the debate was good. Kevin Sorbo's acting was good. The actor's name escapes me, but the kid that plays the main Christian character, he was a decent actor. There were humorous moments in the movie. The humor was not overdone, but it was well played. I had a little issue towards the end of the film. It was a little bit frustrating that I won't spoil it, but something happens with Kevin Sorbo's character that I thought was cliche and cheesy, and kind of threw off what could have been an interesting trajectory, but it is what it is. The message behind the film, that God is still relevant, absolutely agree with that message. The message that the idea that you should not be afraid to defend your faith, that you should always be able to defend your faith. That's, I agree with that. Odds are, if you're a Christian, you're probably going to like the movie. I think that's I don't see you not liking it. But but it is what it is. It doesn't really try to be anything else, so I guess that's a pro. I did kind of like the fact that the kid uses science. He doesn't try to like do the creationism thing. Like, he doesn't try to say, well, evolution is nonsense, and here's why. I'm going to disprove evolution in this classroom. And yeah, he doesn't. He works within the confines of evolution, and he references the Big Bang as being part of creation, and yeah, those were pros to me. I think it would have just been really out there if they had tried to go the other route with that, and tried to like replay Ken Ham and Bill Nye. That just, which, but anyways, so odds are you're gonna like the movie, if you're a Christian. I don't see it as having much of an impact on anybody who's not a Christian, though. So if this is your type of movie, which it's not mine personally, but if this is your type of movie, you'll probably enjoy it. For me, it was that sums up how I felt about the movie. It was kind of cheesy, not great, not terrible. Great song, great message. Average to leaning goofy movie, but So this concludes my series on faith-based films for a while. I actually lied. I broke a commandment at the beginning of this video. There's a reboot, a remake, a reworking, retooling of Left Behind coming to the big screen in June, starring none other than the great Nicolas Cage and the also great, and I'm being sarcastic about both, Chad Michael Murray. So I'm sure I'll do a video review of that if I don't get anything else reviewed before then. I might review some Christian documentaries. I'm thinking about it. Yeah. I'm sure you're all thrilled about that Left Behind remake, but just leave you guys with some encouragement. I do not own the rights to this song, of course.
Darkness hide.